was the Duke of Nassau, and he was the primary. He kind of rolled the bankroll in order to get the blind group of Germans moving to Texas. And in honor of him, they named this huge square out of his huge generosity, Adolfplatz. It's hard to rename it Adolfplatz nowadays. So this is again about 1982. Four beautiful old ladies. Who remembers Bessie Evers? I always wanted to put her in a museum, that car and everything. But she was devoted to this square. And you remember when back in the 20s, when no one owned this land technically. And so at that time, his name was our county judge at that time, and also representative. I'll say Albert Petch. He divided this land, gave half of it to the school board and the other half to the county. There wasn't a city government at that time, incorporated government to give it. So they gave it to the school board. Cut the story short, about 25 years ago, the city purchased this land from the school board. And then we began a redevelopment of the Mark Plot. And this area was generally called Marketplace or Mark Plot. A traditional name. Comfort has one, San Antonio has one, other Indianapolis has a Mark Plot as well. So it's a traditional name for a German community of the center of their town. This is where all the festivals were held. This is where all the celebrations and the praise. And you know the original location of the Rhine that was first built by Dr. Schubert, against the wishes and of Moisebach. Moisebach had no interest. They thought it was a waste of money to build a public building. But Schubert went ahead. He was the director. He built it, and it's right in the middle of Main Street. And here's the footprint of that. This drawing here, this drawing should not be brand new to us, because what it really represents is the master plan of the city with this little thumbprint here, footprint of the Rhine. And this is the master plan approved by the county commissioners 5 and 0 of the courthouse square plan. You see on here, one vision, one square. That was what the early settlers saw about this. This is one square belonging to all the people. And we want to recapture that thought. So we say Mark Hunt, and notice the word here is Courthouse Park. For about 50 years, Courthouse Square was known as Courthouse Park. And in the 75th anniversary of Fredericksburg, where the current courthouse presently sits, the bandstand, not the depot, the bandstand was constructed. They had dances there, and in the papers, Fredericksburg papers, always referred to as Courthouse Park. We may wish to consider a suggestion for our committee is maybe go back to that, because then we're looking at really a park-like place, still anchored by the activity of the center of county government. Our committee, the Courthouse Square Advisory Committee, that Linda and I served, was established by the Commissioners Court in 1998. And we accomplished quite a few things in our working together with the county commissioners. Now just read about 7 of those. The first thing we did when we were appointed that fall, the county set the centennial. The city was in 1996. The county set the centennial was in 1998. So the county was formed 2 years after Fredericksburg was founded. And so we've noticed on our calendar that we had a group to prepare and do something in 2 or 3 months, and our committee served with the county, and we held our centennial of the county. And then we did some very interesting things. One of the first things we did was to hire the original design team of this side of the square, so we would have a continuity of design. And so we had Wagner and Klein, and then we also had hired Jim Peter, who was the landscape architect for Mark Plot and now for Courthouse Square. One of the first projects that the county commissioners we recommended was to do a master study plan. That's pretty extensive and pretty expensive as well. We accomplished that, and we also recommended the purchase of the old post office to be used as county annex offices. There was a question of which way to go on that. But our committee had a very firm recommendation to that the county did that. We also pursued the Texas Historical Courthouse funding grant for $3 million to renovate our courthouse. also recommended the purchase of the old Fredericksburg Clinic buildings and property for use in county offices. About a week or 2 weeks later, the county commissioners did that. It also garnered for us 72 new parking places right there as part of the old clinic building. Our committee recommended a bond donation for a new jail. And then when a new jail came, we recommended the raising of the current jail when the new jail is completed. And we also to designate the current jail site, which is right here, into a green space. And so you see that reflected in Commissioner's 5-0 vote on the master plan courthouse there. We also recommended the placement of ballast rock on Courthouse Square. And that is located here in Peters Scheme in this natural setting here behind the library. And you notice too that the street here will be closed. When we close the street, when you remember at the beginning of Marquardt, you could drive around the Bryant here. And so our committee, I serve on that committee as well, recommended closing those streets. Because what you're doing, you're honoring really kind of a sacred space in our community and not driving through it. Currently, we have a lot of traffic on Levis Parkway. And so we're increasing the parking, enhancing special needs parking, but we're building a new proposal is to build a Pioneer Plaza behind the library. And the street going further, the current jail would be the site of Ballast Rock. Ballast Rock was built to our committee about 15 years ago. We just had to go get it.
Is it there? Do we still know it's there?
It's still there. We had members of that committee go out and check on it. It's a fairly much original condition. It just literally toppled over. But as long as I think over a couple million years is hard to show. But it'll probably, they're anticipating maybe having a crane in that area by the time we break it in. Talking about funding in this project, so we stopped about 3 years ago. And the reason we kind of committee felt the next step was to do public fundraising and big grant money. And also, we were always interested in hot money, the hotel tax money. What we have researched and found out that if the county government and the city together would designate this area, this huge historic square, as a historical preservation project, then it does qualify for hot money. And what Linda and I proposed is that our county attorney, we won't do this legally, our county attorney, Nevins, and city attorney, McGowan, give a written opinion by the Attorney General on that aspect of the hot money. And if that is true, then we would want to see the city and the county about allotting some funds for this project. But I think the bulk of it, we're using the model, the successful model of Marquardt, where the whole community came together. We were able to get certain grants at that time that no longer exist. But we were trying to go after that, but we see the hot fund, again, getting a written opinion of the Attorney General, qualifying us for that, also being used for this project. And I think I'd like to talk about that.
And secondly, the 175th anniversary is coming up very quickly. 2021.
Are we going to make that move?
I hope so. I would like to be there. And the county's anniversary will be in 2023. And what we are proposing is based on the 2020 vision project that was done many years ago and the 150th anniversary committee's recommendation that we designate this as the official project for the 175th anniversary of both the city and the county. And I believe, we believe that it would do a lot to help us with fundraising. Hotel tax funds could be allocated towards some of the work to be done. And I think that we could develop a square that is a real asset to our downtown. The mayor and the judge have seen this proposal before, as well as Ernie Lessler, who loves the idea and feels it would be a great stimulus for our community. there is not a lot of work to be done on the plot, towards the, back corner here where the Security Bank is now. Is something that's going to be coming up, in the next few years. And on the courthouse side, along landscaping, raising the old jail building, and, adding some, and adding the components that, we just showed you. So what we would like is for each of your, committees, or your boards to, think about designating this as a historic preservation project, to consider making this an official 175th anniversary project for our community. We would like to begin fundraising on that minute, and then to, likely, need to form some type of 501c3 jointly, and, appoint a committee to begin looking at the different aspects of this project. The biggest project is going to be, working with TechStop on Main Street. However, I don't remember exactly what year it was. I think it was the very early 60s when, TechStop last came through and lowered our streets. They took off a very thick level of asphalt and, pavement, and replaced that, lowering the street level so the water doesn't flow up over the curb. I think I'm finding out now when that project would happen next would help us a whole lot in determining what could be done to the Main Street at that time. If you're going to come and say perhaps we can do this project at the same time.
Everywhere I see red, I assume we're talking about brick pavers of some kind.
We are talking about some type of surface. We don't have the idea of exactly what it could be. It could be brick, it could be cement, it could be poured concrete. It would likely not be asphalt. Or it could be an asphalt that is slightly different color, cobblestone. There are a lot of options out there that would have to be considered and have to be researched.
If you want to make it historical, the use Chinese brick pavers is not very.
Probably not.
Now, what if it's made out of sand?
Steve Thomas, who's here with us, has also been working with final drawings with Cindy Peters. And he brought, at one of our meetings at the Advisory Committee, Courthouse Square, he brought in some of those heavy thick bricks that they're using at SeaWorld and places like that that are very substantial. But I think the new committee, there's been a few years since this has been generated, the new committee would then want to look at this project, breaking it into different phases and so forth, and then also examine with the city and whoever needs to be consulted on what type of material that would be practical and long-term use for the project. Again, this part is just to show, present the concept, and you heard me emphasize that we'd like to see this really as a joint venture with the county and the city, and knowing how intricately they're, co-connected there. So, and also, so I think it's a legacy. Each of the, as also mentioned, each of the 25th annual committees have established some community project. 50 years ago, it was the pavilion at Haysburg that had been built as by the group to honor that. So here would be something that's long-lasting, and it really honors that unique gift that furnished has of a huge square. Again, Harry Bond said it's one of the most difficult surveys. There's not been an official survey of this square. And when he was doing the Beckman Funeral Home, for that, they had a, where do you locate your mark? Because it's actually the facade of the building is the line of the square. So it fills out, and that's the original square.
Okay, do y'all have any questions?
Steve, you have any comments?
Not at this point.
Okay.
Do you have any plans for the three-headed eagle?
I do, but,
Get over it. Get over it.
I like, Jimmy Alexander's comment that was made a while back. He said they looked out that window, some of the staff looked out the window and watched kids watching it over months and months. They cannot understand why our young kids are so lazy nowadays that they haven't even come over there and dressed that thing up or painted it.
So to summarize,
Thank you, Mr. West, for controlling our,
summarize your ask is to consider a joint resolution or whatever proper form would be, designate this as a historic preservation project relative or subsequent to a legal opinion, right?
Yes.
Okay. And then secondly, to establish it as an official 175th anniversary project. And what was the third one? Oh,
We're going to form a committee if it is designated that way.
form a committee who then will seek a 501c3 to begin fundraising community-wide, hopefully for a big ribbon-cutting grand opening in 2021. Okay.
There's another aspect too, I served, then I both served on the, Tim duty, on the 150th committee, and it was appointed about 3 years prior to the date. All of it, without a huge project like that to take on, all of us felt like we should have had at least 5 years. Now we're at 7 years now doing this for our anniversary. We'll need that time to accomplish this goal. And I think the reason we backed off doing this fundraising for 2 or 3 years and we kind of went dormant is we saw how important the linchpin of the county jail was to this project. You see, it's almost a quarter of the square here. And as long as there's jail there, once you get, galvanize and get get everybody kind of rallied up to go after this project, accomplish this project, it's hard then to slow down when you're waiting for something to be determined. Now, working with the city council, we will have, and the county will have a timetable for when the jail will finish, the other jail at whatever appropriate time can be raised and create this green space here, which I think will be a very valuable asset. And I want to say one more quick thing, how wonderful the county commissioners really supported a lot of these projects here with their own money, and also they planted more than 20 trees on the square. There's a lot of other little projects. But many times I've observed county commissioners have been taking an active interest in how the projects are going. Thank you very much.
Would you expect that the all the money would be raised privately or grant-wise?
And Hotman.
It was cheaper for Congress than have some of them.
all these commissioners were cheaper than most.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Timothy. All right, let's go to the county jail project now. Any issues related? And, John, you were on it. I'm going to ask Ed Davis on the project from this morning. The point of view, but you're here to deal with the ELC.
ELC is dispatch.
Okay. Would you mind holding off just a second? Okay. Judge, would you give us an update on any commissioners on, okay, your point of view?
I'll probably end up deferring to the sheriff because he's been in more of the meetings than I have, or Curtis. We do have a construction manager at risk that we got on board, about 3 weeks ago or so. Still working with the design team, and Steve might also comment. We've got a couple of agenda items Monday morning to talk about the design development phase. The full commissioner, of course, is going to be briefed on that. Curtis and I have sat in on several meetings, but we felt like Commissioner Court needed to have a presentation on that. I think they're still talking about trying to do some, at least break ground this summer to do the parking area. Is that right, Sheriff? Yes. And then the groundbreaking on the facility itself would be sometime in the fall, I believe, September, October. Is that what we're looking at? And then they're still projecting a completed facility would be November of 2014. So, but I don't know, Sheriff or Steve, y'all have more detail that you want to share at this point?
I'd be more than happy to. We met with the Texas Traditional Jail Standards this Tuesday to receive their final stamp of approval to proceed with construction documents. And as you know, a project of this size and involves prisoners has to have their approval in there. So we went to Austin this week and received that approval to continue on with the construction documents, which after the meeting on Monday, there will be a letter drafted and completed and signed by both the judge and myself, and sent back to the jail commission and saying that we're ready to proceed on. It is a large project. It does have some other related issues, which I'm sure John would be more than happy to bring up as far as the co-location of this batch operation, which we I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a question, and when the voters approve the bonds up to 15, what was it, 56?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is that what kind of encumbrance does that put on you? You can go up to that, but you don't have to spend it all. Do you have the option to redo the plans at that point to minimize costs? And in other words, the voters have approved up to a number, but if you came in under that, I'm talking about with the same project. Did the voters approve that specific project, or did they vote? Did they approve just the number?
They just approved us selling bonds up to that amount. They didn't approve the specific project.
Okay.
What it's for, Jay.
I know, yeah,
Right.
that's what I meant.
After that election in November, in fact, at our next commissioner's court meeting, I presented that to the commission and said, the way I saw it, we had three options. Either we proceed with the plan as presented, which sum up to the $15 million, or we could modify the plan, or we could not move forward with it at all. I mean, that vote did not say we had to build a jail. It just said we were authorized by the public to stand up to the $15 million. So and the projected cost, which was how we arrived at the $15 million, was the maximum estimated cost was right under 15. It was like 14.8 or 14.9 that we were given. And so we felt comfortable that $15 million was the most that we could need. That's for a 96-bed facility, built out, finished out to 96 or 48 completed. It would be 96, the other 48 unfinished.
Probably
And 96 finished. Okay.
That was, hard cost and soft cost.
That was total, that was everything.
Any other questions? All right, John.
Two issues that we'd like to put before you this morning. The first is locating all dispatches for city and county in one location. And in the new jail facility, there is room to do all this, and there's going to be some obstacles to overcome if we do join those, but to facilitate the planning process and the meetings that are going on, what we'd like from y'all is direction to proceed to try to work out a way to make it happen where we put both dispatches in the new jail facility. I'll tell you right up front that I think this is the right thing to do. It's going to provide better service to our people. It will increase our capabilities. It will increase our response time. There are some major obstacles to overcome, but that's I'm sorry? Increase response time? Yes.
Hopefully decrease
response time. Currently, buying new missed calls, have them transferred over here, we would use that transfer time, so it would increase our response capabilities, but decrease our response time. So what I would ask from you all today is that you give us direction to plan
plan for, locating both dispatches in the same location. Over the next 18 months, we would have to figure out how that was to be accomplished, whether it would be under an independent agent, whether it would be, two separate, dispatches operating out of the same location, or how we would make that work. But having them in the same location, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. And so we would look for direction from y'all. At direction of council, I did go and, the sheriff came to a area chiefs meeting and basically to all the area fire chiefs. I went to each one individually and got their comments on the possible consolidation, and those are included in the package. Just to summarize that, there was no one that said that the location of the dispatches is the most important thing. The most important thing is to provide an equal or enhanced level of service to our citizens.
John, is there any way we can try that scheme before the jail is built, just so we can shake out any problems?
We could, it would cost some money.
You know, John, and you say there's no major concerns about location of the dispatchers. Somewhere down the line, I'm hearing, and maybe they're just talking to me or to the county commissioners or something, but there is a concern. I mean, I don't think we need to tell everybody out here, there's no concern, everything's good, everything's right. I don't think that's right.
You're exactly right.
Okay.
When I said it didn't matter where the location of the dispatch was, as long as it operated under these principles. And those are the guidelines. But if we move there, those are the assurances that the fire departments would like to see, to make sure that, first and foremost, that there's a dedicated dispatcher all the time for fire and EMS. They want to be able to talk to the same person every time. They don't want to have to talk to 3 different dispatchers on the same fire call. But whether that is in the new jail facility, or whether it's downstairs, or whether it's in the old jail facility, as long as we make it work, and we don't neglect fire and EMS, and they get the same priority that every other call does, the general consensus from the chiefs was the location doesn't matter. The setup, the organization matters very much, and that's what we're going to need 18 months to come up with.
John, how would that work? If, I know there are a number of issues that have to get worked out, but if there was a dedicated dispatcher for fire and EMS like there is now, and the 911 calls come in just like they normally do, whether they have to transfer them over here to City Hall, or whether a law enforcement dispatcher answers and it's a fire call, and they say, well, just a minute, I've got to transfer you to my guy sitting right next here to my right. There's still a transfer of the call, isn't there? Or how does...
When they answer the call, they would say, what's your emergency? And if it was fire and EMS, and the EMS dispatcher would have that same information that the other dispatchers would have on the screen.
Don't they have to transfer that call, or how would they get it to the proper fire EMS dispatchers?
They'll all have the exact same equipment, sir. But if you want to, you can raise it. But all the dispatch consoles will be configured exactly alike, so that if they call us and the call comes in and says fire and EMS, and if the fire and EMS person is right next to them, they'll pick up the phone, so all the information is right in front of them, and you've got...
They don't have to make a transfer.
No.
But the dispatcher that answered it would have to put them on hold or something, wouldn't they, in order for the dispatcher to get the call?
They just pick up.